guys last year. He filled in, did a great job, and Tim, once you're ready, just hit the record there, and it'll start recording.
Alright.
Speak
So
up to
see
the
my
mic.
picture?
No, that's recording in the background. That's already
okay.
broadcasting.
Hey, Tim. Nice to meet you, Eddie. I'll ask you guys the same names. Try to make it as stress-free as possible.
Let him sit down there.
Yep. Trying to get into here is the so much crap in here.
What y'all got in here?
Our salty nuts,
Salty nuts.
Salty nuts. I'm
which
hoping
with the
Luckily
heat
for
and
you-
humidity isn't real hard to have.
Luckily for you, I like salty nuts.
I gotta push this at all, Bill?
No, it's good. It's good. Everything's
You're live? Am I recording?
You guys are going.
All right. Hi, this is Tim with Domain or DCLE Radio with
up,
Eddie
Tim?
from Suicide Silence.
That's me.
We're at Rock on the Range. It's really loud, and that's the way we fucking like it.
If it ain't loud, it's not worth listening to,
All
man.
right, man. So tell us about your new CD.
This thing right here, this thing is our self-titled CD, Suicide Silence. Probably the most hated CD right now.
Oh, no.
Yeah, man. Like it's notorious right now, man.
Oh.
But that's how we wanted it.
That's
It's a record that we, as a band, stepped out of our comfort zone and really kind of pushed the artistic envelope for ourselves. You know, we're known as a extreme death metal band. No singing, hardly any melody. The only melodies that are in there are usually in bridges. Our verses, our choruses are all very heavy, very punishing. We invoke mayhem and violence live in a good way.
right.
Positive releases, if you will. But at the end of the day, our fan base is accustomed to listening to that.
Yeah.
And for this record, we wrote somber numbers. We wrote numbers that, are a little bit more experimental. Doing non-choruses, doing really open, broad, silent parts. Before we slam into a piece. Writing songs with timeless aspects to them, clean vocals, melodic vocals.
Right. So almost more traditional songwriting style versus your.
I would
normal
say
stuff,
though. I
would
mean,
you say, or?
we've always kind of maintained, kind of a rock and roll structure of songs. We write music that has verse choruses. It's just heavy,
Yeah.
So we do stick to traditional writing styles. This one we kind of went with the more old school approach. We recorded the record live. We recorded drums onto tape, and we went
Wow.
we went far
Big
into
drum room.
big
sound, all that?
big drum room sound, small drum room.
Yeah.
We actually were all in the drum room recording the scratch takes together. I mean, it felt nice to feel like a rock and roll band again, like to step out of, the very monotonous and very sterile way of recording where, you record a part and then you go and you clean it up and you clean it up and you clean it up and you clean it up, to where when you get something that's very nice and polished, but the heart's taken out.
Right.
That's what we wanted to put into this
Overdub and
record.
overdub and overdub. Hey, we missed that fucking 2 notes in that one little spot.
Exactly.
Let's clean that up.
So it's like this was more like, I don't know, glorifying the mistakes.
Okay.
Saying, that this was a mistake and it's meant to be there. Let's leave it. Picking the vocal takes that aren't my favorite, because there's passion in the vocal. It makes the record have its own embodiment and its own life. And I'm really proud of it, man. I'm really proud of this piece. I'm really proud of my band for stepping out of the zone and being fearless.
Well, some of the writing changes too, not to beleaguer any kind of negative things, but the tragedies that happened. I mean, is that where you wanted to change focus, or did that have any kind of influence on writing the new record?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things we said to ourselves was, hey, man, life could be gone tomorrow. Let's write the record that we're going to be extremely happy with. Let's write the record that if we were to be just erased off this earth for whatever reason, that's the record that I'm going to be the most proud of. And 100%, man, that's what we did. We set out to do that, and we did it. Knowing full and well that it was going to receive backlash. Knowing full and well that it was going to make us look weaker in the eyes of the industry. Because, I mean, numbers is the game,
Yeah,
Money is what money is what keeps bands relevant. And if you're bringing in money for the agencies, for the record labels, for the touring agencies, if you're bringing in money for them, they support you. If you're not, you look weak to them. And right now, that's what we were 100% unafraid of. We weren't scared of looking any kind of way. You're fine.
So I guess my thing is, from an outside point of view, if you change direction a little bit, you said you're going to more melodic, more, don't you feel that, shouldn't it be felt that, yeah, maybe your hardcore people aren't going to be super happy with it, but maybe that opens up a door for new people to come in, experience, and then they
Man,
that's how I look at a lot of bands.
I still think
that
this record is too heavy for a lot of the pop culture. Yeah. It's a very heavy record just because it involves.
Would you consider this your Black Album?
I mean, no, yeah, in a way, yeah, it's
separating kind of.
It's our Black Album. In our way, this is our Rubber Soul. You know, like when the Beatles went experimental. That's all it was. They were already known for writing pop music and writing really good pop music, so they just wanted to trip out a little bit, man. Like being themselves, explore their psyche, explore their who they are as people, and write the music that comes from you. And when they wrote Rubber Soul, their fans hated it. Man, their fans absolutely hated it, and that's where we're at. It's unlike Metallica, where they had more of an immediate response to their core base. They hated it, but with the Black Album, there was still a huge resurgence. And we know that that's not going to come right away. We know that this record's going to take a long time for people to soak it in and experience it. Do you feel that that's going to be a direction that you continue in, or do you think every record's going to be its own life? It's kind of too soon to say. The record's only been out 4 months. Yeah. It really hasn't had a chance to bloom yet. It's still very much in its infancy, and I'm just excited to see that. I'd be taking it for granted if I was already thinking about the next one, to be real with you. As much as there is a part of me that goes, this is where I would like to reside and sit here. We just never know until we get into a room and start jamming together. That's what's going to dictate how the record goes, or what the record does.
Getting at some technical questions.
Sure.
Tuning wise, do you do a lot of the drops, or do you still stay in standards?
That's a better question for our guitarists. I believe we are in drop A on this record. I'm not 100% sure though. So I'm sorry that I can't answer that.
Cool. So I play a little bit, and I like the recording aspect of it and the technical aspect of it. So I usually ask about like gear, tunings, that kind of crazy stuff, because it's interesting to me to hear the process of the A to the B to the C and the final thing, where we get to hear what you put your heart and soul into, and your pride and blood, sweat, and tears and stuff.
We went completely old school with this record. I think we were using a 1970s Marshall head. I think our guitarist Mark was using some 5150 or a triple rectifier, Mesa Boogie.
Yeah.
Again, it was from the 90s. For whatever reason, the feeling and the vibe was just, we wanted that like old school crunch to our sound, mixed with our little adjustments to still bring that heavy. I mean, the record still like crushes. Like when those guys hit those guitars, man, they bring some fire behind it, man. Can't help it, man. We're a heavy band. We're an extreme band.
It's awesome. It's really cool. I like the fact that you kind of went back and used some of the older stuff.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, there was no process effects. Everything was out of legit pedal boxes, old school pedal boxes. Ross was breaking out all these different pedals, and it was just blowing us away, man. We're like, hey, tell us a story. Yeah, check out this one. Check out this one. Check out this one. And he was using some pedal that he got in the '60s. It was some tremolo.
Yeah.
Some tremolo pedal. I mean, like I said, I'm not a guitarist, so I can't go further into that.
So
but.
as a singer, then,
It was interesting as a singer.
Mic-wise, any preferences?
I
What were you using?
I use Sennheiser, and I'm really partial to oh god, I'm blanking on the name right now. But I use Sennheiser Live.
Yeah.
And then in the studio this last time we used a 1944 Telefunken.
Oh, really?
The
Wow.
thing, yeah, the thing had to warm up for 20 minutes
It had
before
a
we could use it.
built-in
Yeah,
tube.
yeah. No,
Yeah.
it not only the tube, but it had like a box, like
Power
a power
supply.
supply that you
Yeah.
had to turn on. It was
That's
intense, man.
cool.
Yeah, dude, it was really cool, and it was also a microphone that had been used by like, I don't know, Jonathan Davis sang into it, Corey Taylor sang into it, Cheeto Moreno,
And it brings a
Nick Cave
totally
sang
different-
into that microphone.
Nick Cave. Oh.
Yeah, Tom Waits sang into that microphone. So it was one of those things where it's like I just kind of felt the presence of all these great singers
And did
behind me.
you actually, can you hear too the difference how your voice comes through on something like that versus even your newer Sens?
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those things where I didn't want to pay too much attention to the microphone because I didn't want to think about what it sounded like. I was just kind of letting free flow happen. And listening back, man, I got some of the gnarliest screams I've ever heard myself do on this record, and it's like the grittiness of the diaphragm, the fact that it just has this old school soulful soul to it. I mean, it has a soul. This microphone. So hearing myself out of it, it's almost like it's not me. It's somebody else.
And the nice thing too with the tube thing. There we are.
Yeah, I think we're still
on.
Is this live right now? Are we live right
Are
now?
we live? I think we're still broadcasting. Yeah, we're still broadcasting.
Hell yeah.
Cool. Too with the tube and the older school stuff, it likes the push.
Yes.
You know.
It
So
reacts.
You
It reacts to that
push
push.
it, push it, and it just gets fatter and warmer.
You know, the sad thing is we had so much fun with all the technical aspects of this recording, and our fans just sat and they well, they bitched about it because it's not what they're used to. You know, what they're used to is a really clean, polished sound, and that's fine. That's great. You know, like that's how bands record nowadays because we don't have the money to record on tape anymore. But really, the passion and the ingenuity comes from just going in and jamming, and the way you record a band jamming is the old school way. You can't really do it with the new school sound.
Do you do lyrics first, or do you do music and then write, and then the lyrics come after? Or?
The music comes first, and then I start to write the lyrics. Always, yeah. Like I find that it puts me more in tune with the band. If I just write lyrics and try to fit them to music, I feel like it detaches the musician a little bit.
That's cool. I appreciate your time, man.
Hey man,
That's
thank
awesome,
you, man.
It's great
I appreciate
meeting
it.
you. Have a good day.
Yeah, man. Thank
Stay
you.
dry.
You too.
And buy their record.
Go and check it out. Get it.
Don't listen to
wherever.
the haters.
Or listen to them. I don't give a
I don't-
fuck.
Thanks, Eddie. Appreciate it.
Of course, man. Thank you. Peace out, y'all.